Good morning, students. This is Shubhada. Here are the answers for the assignment 22. For the first question, Lasper's quantity index number is 107.14. Second question, and the answer, Pache's quantity index number is 96. For the third question, in it, the first sub-question is about quantity index number relating to Dorbish-Bowley and the answer is 147.3. The second question under the same is Fisher's quantity index number and the value is 147.29. Fourth question answer is Lasper's quantity index number is 434.4. Fifth question answer Pache's quantity index number is 96.04. The sixth question answer value index number is 119.05. Seventh question answer value index number is 125. The last eighth question value index number is 130.53. Hope all of you got the same answer. Now, for today, I am opting for the second chapter, index numbers, and the concept is consumer price index numbers or the other name cost of living index numbers. This is session 23. In one of our earlier session, we discussed regarding price index numbers. They are of two types. The first one, wholesale price index number, and the second one, retail price index number. The main difference between these two is, in case of wholesale price index number, wholesale prices of commodities are used in the construction of the index number. Whereas, in case of retail price index number, retail prices of commodities are made use. Best example for retail price index number is consumer price index number. Even this point was discussed in that session. So, consumer price index number is the concept of today's discussion. Here, I am going to introduce consumer price index number, its uses, and methods of constructing consumer price index numbers. Usually, wholesale price index numbers measure the variations in the general level of prices of many commodities. But they don't focus on only those commodities consumed by a particular group of people like poor or middle class or rich or labor class, a group of industrial workers or a group of agricultural workers or business class or salaried class, etc. Because each group will be having different standard of living according to their income. Here, standard of living refers to the level of wealth, comfort, material goods, and mainly basic necessities available to a certain class of people in a certain geographic area. Each such group consumes different type of commodities and their consumption pattern, that is amount of consumption of those commodities as well differs. Hence, this results in different cost of living for each group according to their standard of living. This necessitates the construction of separate index numbers called cost of living index numbers or consumer price index numbers. Thus, in order to measure the effect of variations in the prices of various commodities, on the cost of living of different classes of people, cost of living indexes or consumer price indexes are constructed. Now, here is the definition of consumer price index. It is the index number of the cost met by a specified class of consumers in buying a basket of goods and services. Here, class of consumers mean group of consumers having almost identical pattern of consumption mainly because of their income. And basket of goods and services means goods and services, that is items or commodities and services needed in day-to-day life of that specified class of consumers. So, the consumer price index is an index which tells us the cost of living of a specified class of consumers to buy a basket of goods and services. That completes the definition. Hope you got to know what each word in the definition speaks about. Now, let us know the uses of consumer price index. To start with, the first one. Since consumer price index gives an idea about relative change in the prices of commodities, it helps in fixing the salary, in deciding dearness allowance and granting bonus to employees in accordance with increase in cost of living, which is directly associated with changes in the prices of commodities. That means increase in prices of goods and services results in increase in cost of living, which implies there should be increase in salary and other benefits to maintain the same standard of living for a particular group of people. Thus, consumer price index is mainly used in fixing the salaries, deciding the dearness allowance and grant of bonus to the employees. The second point. Similarly, with the same reason, consumer price indices are used by the government in framing price policy, meaning deciding prices for different commodities, and they are as well helpful in making wage policies, means deciding wages for different categories, and even in framing general economic policies. The third point. If we know the consumer indexes for different classes, then it facilitates, helps us to compare the cost of living of those different classes. Consumer price indexes are widely used in negotiating wage for the work to be done and in making wage contracts for the people involved in it. The fifth point. It is used to determine the purchasing power of money and for calculating real wages. Here, purchasing power of money is the value of a currency expressed in terms of the amount of goods or services that one unit of money can buy. In simple, purchasing power of money is the amount of goods and services that can be bought out of a unit currency. We discussed this point earlier under the uses of index numbers. The second point under the fifth use is about calculating real wages. Here we got a formula stating real wages is equal to money wages divided by consumer price index multiplied by 100. Let us know what is meant by money wages and real wages. Money wage means actual money received as wage by a person, whereas real wage is the income expressed in terms of purchasing power as opposed to actual money received. That means real wages are wages in terms of the amount of goods and services that can be bought depending on the consumer price index. And it is calculated using the formula real wages is equal to money wages divided by consumer price index whole thing multiplied by 100. Here, money wages speaks about actual money received as wage by a person, and real wage speaks about wages in terms of the amount of goods and services that can be bought for that actual money received by the person under a particular consumer price index. That completes the fifth use. The last and the sixth use says consumer price indexes are used for deflating money or income. Here, deflating means converting money wage to real wage using cost of living index number. That can be done using the very same formula just expressed under the fifth use. Hence, the last use is about deflating money or income. That completes the uses of consumer price index. Now, we discuss regarding different steps involved in the construction of consumer price index. Here together we got 4 different steps to be learned. The first one, defining purpose and scope. The second step is to conduct family budget survey and selecting the weights. The third, obtaining price quotations. And the fourth and the last step is computing consumer price index. The first step, defining purpose and scope. At the first place, the purpose of index number must be clearly defined. It is very essential to decide clearly the class of people for whom the index number is to be constructed along with the geographical area. Thus, the very first step in the construction of consumer price index is defining the purpose and scope. Here, scope is nothing but geographical area in which a particular class of people are considered for the construction of consumer price index. The second step, conducting family budget survey and selection of weights. Here, the objective of the survey is to find out the expenses which a family does on different items of consumption. Among group of people under consideration, some families are chosen at random and information regarding the money spent on various items is collected. Usually, in such survey, the items are classified according to food, clothing, fuel and lighting, house rent, and miscellaneous. The enquiry is conducted on a random basis during a period of economic stability. Thus, at the end, the family budget enquiry gives us information about items of consumption and average budget of such families from that particular class of people. Even through this survey, we come to know about importance of different items they consume, and in turn it helps us to assign the weights to different items according to their importance. Thus, Family Budget Survey helps in selecting the weights for different items. While constructing Consumer Price Index, we make some assumptions. Like, for example, the first one, the group of consumers under study have almost identical pattern of consumption. The second point, the quality of commodities used by them is same. But in reality, it may not be true. That's why these points we call them as assumptions, which we do under the construction of Consumer Price Index number. The third step, obtaining price quotations. While constructing cost of living index number, retail prices of different commodities ought to be collected. Collection of retail prices is a very difficult task and they vary from one place to another and even at one place from one shop to another shop and even from one consumer to another consumer. Therefore, price quotations are obtained from different places, means from different retail shops within the geographical area under study and then averaged. These averaged retail prices are made use in the construction of Consumer Price Index. The fourth and the last step is computing Consumer Price Index. There are two methods of computing Consumer Price Index. They are the first one, aggregative expenditure method, and the second one, family budget method. Now let us know each of them. To start with, aggregative expenditure method. In this method, base year quantities noted by Q0 are taken as weights. Therefore, Consumer Price Index formula is given as summation P1 Q0 divided by summation P0 Q0 multiplied by 100. This is similar to last pay's price index number. That completes the formula for aggregative expenditure method in which base year quantities are used as weights. The second method, family budget method. In this method, the values of the items consumed in the base year, denoted by P0, Q0, are used as weights. Therefore, under family budget method, the formula for Consumer Price Index is given as summation W into capital P divided by summation W, where capital P is the price relative and we are aware about the formula of price relative, nothing but capital P is equal to P1 by P0 into 100 and W stands for weight, and here weight is nothing but base year value. That's why W is treated as P0 into Q0. That completes the formula for family budget method. In some situations, group index is given along with weights. For example, here I quoted a table having different items and each item group. For example, here cereals, other food, fuel, housing and clothing. Let us treat all of them as different groups of items and each group is having an index of its own, which is called group index, and it is denoted by the letter I, and each item group is attached with weight, and that is denoted by W. So, for the first item group, that is cereals, a group index is given as 135 and it is denoted by capital I, and the corresponding weight is 61 and that weight column is denoted by W. In such cases or in such problems, we had to make use of the formula for consumer price index is nothing but summation Wi divided by summation W. And in some problems, it may be given for different groups, price index may be given. In such a case, you can make use of the letter capital P. In such a case, it is summation WP divided by summation W is the formula for consumer price index. So here, what is meant by this group index? It is nothing but it is an index number already calculated for that particular group of items. For example, here 135 is the index number for the entire group of cereals. Now, here is a note. Both the methods mentioned above, that is family budget method and aggregative expenditure method, are identical. Let us look at the proof of this statement. For that, let us consider family budget method formula. It is nothing but summation WP divided by summation W. We know that under family budget method, capital P stands for price relative and its formula is P1 by P0 into 100, and W stands for weight and it's nothing but P0 into Q0. Substitute these notations for both W and P and we get the second step, saying it is equal to summation P0 into Q0 multiplied by P1 by P0 into 100 whole thing divided by summation P0 into Q0. Look at the numerator part. There we can cancel P0 and the resulting numerator is nothing but summation P1 Q0 divided by summation P0 Q0 as it is multiplied by 100. This is nothing but aggregative expenditure method formula. That's why we tell both family budget method and aggregative expenditure method are identical. Students, you do this work in your notes so that you can get the idea how we reach or how we prove family budget method and aggregative expenditure method are one and the same. And that completes today's session regarding consumer price index number, its uses and methods of construction. And here is the assignment number 23. The first question is define consumer price index number or cost of living index number. The second question, which price of commodities is used in the construction of consumer price index number? Third question, write down any two uses of consumer price index. The fourth, mention the steps involved in the construction of consumer price index number. The fifth question, write down two assumptions made in the construction of consumer price index number. Sixth question, write down the formula for computing consumer price index by aggregative expenditure method. The seventh question, write down the formula for computing consumer price index by family budget method. That completes assignment 23. And students, Make sure you solve the assignment questions in each and every session and will submit through mail ID quoted for the statistics subject. The very same statistics notes had to be submitted when the college reopens. So I expect while enjoying these holidays, make sure you spend some meaningful time on your studies and in submitting your work without fail. Thank you.